one of the things is working from home, I don't always have the time necessarily to go out and get a river run in. So I've got to find different ways to get workouts in. And slalom has quickly become one of those ways for me to get those workouts done. But I don't always have a slalom course, so I actually just recently purchased some of these, which these are what they call marker buoys for fishing, for tournament fishing, to like mark where you were just trolling from or something like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give these a go as like markers on eddy lines, things like that, in place of gates. And we'll see how it goes. And I'm just going to use my Dagger RPM, which isn't a slalom boat, but it works great as a slalom boat. Cheap low volume stern, so I can pivot fast enough. Works really well. And it's good to just work on those basic stroke techniques. Heading on down to Fish Top, which has got a nice little eddy line there. A couple eddies actually, so I can set up a small little slalom course if I don't have one of my own. So here we are, Fish Top access. Most people use this as the takeout for the narrows, where put in for the lower green, which is a good beginner run. But I like using it for what it is, which is this really nice flat pool with some decent eddy lines and some nice like downstream V's. Perfect for some slalom. Alright. First things first, let's see how these things do. Sitting on eddy lines and things like that, see if they don't float away. This is again the first time that I'm using them, so I'm kind of eager to see how they do in current. We've used them on flat water before. It's quite a bit different, so I want to hopefully get them to work out here. So real quick test, let's just go ahead and do it in an eddy, make sure it doesn't float away. So as you can see, it's spooling out. It looks like it's staying put. Let's see what happens when we throw it out into the current. Yeah, it looks like the current's going to be a little bit too much for it, as it just continues to spool out. So honestly, where I think these are going to have their application is obviously in flat water, kind of setting stagger gates, things like that, where we can actually start working on what I like to call stroke dexterity, or compound strokes, basically being able to slice from one stroke into the other by just simply rolling the wrist. I think these will be effective in like class 1, 2 current, where you got to get people to paddle with purpose. Maybe if you want to get them to dive deep into eddies, using these as targets is going to be a great way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you a few different examples of some different things that you can do with these. So if you guys make some of these or buy some of these of your own to practice, it's a great way of doing it. So I've got 3 gates out here right now. Got one across, and it's staying put. It's kind of sitting in the current a little bit, but it's actually stayed put. Got one directly across the current here, and then one downstream, which is kind of deeper in the eddy, which I like to use sometimes to keep people from spinning out on eddy lines. So they have to drive nice and deep, keep the boat nice and flat so it actually slides across the surface of the water better. So here, I'll just start over here. So I'm gonna cross the current here, dive nice and deep across the eddy. I'm gonna bow draw into forward stroke, bow draw into forward stroke. I'm gonna go across the other side, nice flat boat. Again, bow draw, forward stroke. Working on those compound strokes. I'm gonna do it again across because I'm not exactly liking what I'm doing yet. Working off that bow. All right, now I'm gonna go downstream, dive deep into this eddy. That's a nice, simple little slalom course there. Again,
you know, you're not going to have all the gates and everything else that
a regular slalom course is going to have. But it still gives somebody who's never done it before a purpose to paddle for. And a lot of the time what happens is when people especially are getting started, what they don't do is they don't really know where they're driving to, where they're driving the boat to. So putting these out here just essentially gives us a little bit of a roadmap. And it gives something for the paddler to paddle to, which is really important when you want to start measuring your abilities and also your progression as you move through the skills.
What I want to talk about real quick is just one of the terms that I used, and that was paddle dexterity. And what that means is it's my ability to go from one stroke, bow draw, slice, forward stroke into another. So it's essentially, again, all of this roll in the wrists, the ability to open my hands and allow the paddle to articulate through the water, bow draw, forward stroke. And that's the mark of an advanced paddler versus a beginner paddler for sure, is this ability to work on compound strokes. We're going to actually talk about compound strokes more in a future video, but I wanted to introduce the concept to you now. Again, this is something that we introduce in our Slalom for River Runners class.
Thanks guys for joining us. I hope you guys found those tips to be worthwhile. You know, when you can't always get out to a river, flat water, even class 1 current is a great way to work on more advanced skills. And these skills are going to be sticking with you for the long term, anything from class 1 to class 5. Be sure to check out the rest of our programs at whitewaterdreams.com and also check for the link below for our Slalom for River Runners course. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.